Hey, this is Augie, Augie's Locker Room. When you come to the store, you're going to see things that you've probably never seen before unless you've been to a museum. Great items that go back to the Rockney era to the present. Website, augieslockerroom.com. Visit us here or the website.
Dominant at times statistically, and clearly the better team for about 45 game minutes. Notre Dame nonetheless needed a crucial defensive stop in the fourth quarter and its 4-minute offense to effectively run out the clock in a 28-20 victory over Brigham Young, and they also needed a tight end, Michael Mayer.
11 catches, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. You can't say enough good things about him. He was phenomenal, but Drew Pine was incredibly accurate. 22 of 28, 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, a tip pass that was intercepted. But, Notre Dame, almost 41 minutes of possession time. But to get the defensive stand, I think that's really, really critical. They needed that so badly. I didn't expect BYU to rush for 160 yards, but they really throttled Jaron Hall. The Nakua Romney duo did nothing in the passing game. And as you said, Tim, the stats were one-sided. The score should have been more one-sided than it was. For the first time, really, this year, they weren't very good in the red zone, but they scored enough.
And the red zone was the issue because I just kept writing. Notre Dame again got into scoring territory, stopped on 4th and short. That has actually become an issue this year, 3rd and 4th and short, of having to settle for a field goal another time when they were stopped on 4th and short, not on downs. They're an imperfect team, but as Marcus Freeman said, there's a lot of us in college football that are similar with parity. And until they find a way to execute more, they're going to be winning like this. And I think this is the way they're going to have to win the rest of this football season.
Well, and if they continue, you asked about after the game, if they continue to do what they're doing on 3rd down, they will get in the end zone more. And I think, really BYU's not very good defensively in the red zone, so that's a bit of a surprise. But 11 for 16 on 3rd down, and I think you pointed out 19 for 29 in the last 2 games. That can be a differentiator. And another thing that can differentiate Notre Dame's passing game is if they can continue to get that kind of productivity from Jaden Thomas. He made a catch right down here where we're standing that was underthrown. One of the few really accurate passes thrown by Drew Pine, inaccurate passes. But, they need Jaden Thomas as a complement. Lorenzo Styles was a little bit more quiet tonight. But if you can start pairing those guys up with Mayer, and then you know what they can do with the running backs.
And Thomas added a 12-yard catch on 3rd down, which was crucial because that was Drew Pine had a lot of time. Michael Mayer was actually covered, and Jaden Thomas worked his way open. That's some savvy play we would not have seen from Jaden Thomas. We have seen him make every receiver. We see make the occasional leaping catch on 1st down. That was a savvy move to get open by Jaden Thomas. And I still think the real key, obviously, this offensive line, but they didn't have a 3-headed monster, but they had a 2-headed monster today because Audric Estime went over 100 total yards. Logan Diggs, a tough run to help run that out. He had a 97-yard day, 94-yard day. If you'd have told me Logan Diggs was going to have 94 yards a couple weeks ago, I'd have laughed at you. But that's he's just shy of 100. I still need that from a couple years ago. Bet.
Diggs had 93. Estime had 97. Was it a 15-yard run? I actually have not seen that play. I was coming down from the press box to get to the field, but that was critical to maintain possession of the football. And it wasn't one of Tyree's better days, but you're not going to have all 3 get over 100 yards on a regular basis. But to have that 1-2 punch with Estime, some people were wondering, well, how come Estime didn't start? They wanted to. BYU has been susceptible on the perimeter as well as up the middle, but I think more on the perimeter. So they wanted to launch Diggs and Tyree early, but you knew eventually, and the carries were distributed. I think Estime had 17, Diggs 14, Tyree 11. So those were, distributed really, really well, and that's key for Notre Dame moving forward, especially with the way the offensive line's playing.
Tyree dropped a pass that would have been another 45 yards. Right. It was a well set up screen. Also, defensively, the Adamiola brothers. Justin had the better consistent day all the way through, but then Jason kind of sealed the deal. And Jason gets a little bit of credit for that safety, too, that Jack Kaiser tackled Jalen Hall. And there's going to be complaints about Notre Dame's defense because of those back-to-back drives that they gave up. Jalen Hall threw for 120 yards. If you said that going to that game, Jalen Hall's going to throw for 120 yards. That's a guaranteed victory for Notre Dame. It's one of those odd games where Notre Dame's offense played really well, but the offense actually kept it close a little bit tonight for the two.
Yeah, I didn't expect 160 yards from BYU, and give them credit. They did some things up front. They've got a big, old offensive line, and they did some things up front. But to hold Jaron Hall to 120 yards. And at one point he was 2 for 5 forever because the play, Notre Dame had a 49-21 play advantage. And you'd like to put it to, that's the next step, is putting a team away. But BYU is a very, very difficult team to put away. I know they never really launched against Oregon, but they have Arkansas next week. They go from good opponent to good opponent. I'm confident they'll bounce back next week.
That is it from Allegiant Stadium. After an 0-2 start, Notre Dame is now 3-2. Irish 28, Cougars 20.